Picture this, best on best, NLL stars, PLL stars, one floor, one game, no excuses. Just who's actually better when it's even. That's what we're talking about today, why Sixes is the perfect format and why it would explode the sport. After that, elite defenses. I'm bringing receipts, goals against per game for the entire league, and the top tier list is tighter than people think. Week 6 breakdown, power rankings, awards. Let's get right into it. Welcome back. My name is Jake McDonald. I am Anything Lacrosse, and this is a game that never sits still. We had an amazing weekend. Every Monday I get on here and I do the weekend recap. We go over all the news that's been going on, as well as a game-by-game breakdown. So that's what we'll be doing today. Episode 25. I can't believe we're here. I say that all the time, but 25 episodes is amazing. So thank you. If you listened to one of my first ones, I appreciate you. And if you're here now, I also appreciate you. So I'm just some guy with a mic that's talking about a sport that I have absolutely fallen in love with. So quick reminder before we start here, just give me a little comment on what you like in the episodes, and I'll try to throw it in there. I'm also considering tweaking my format a little bit with college field lacrosse starting. I think I do want to start to really try to get into field lacrosse this season. So you guys let me know also if you want to hear field stuff, if you just want me to stick to box, because I'm definitely going to be doing some junior box stuff for sure. But I do think that there's a lot of fans that could be box fans that are super into just field. And field's interesting in itself. It's a really good game. The more I watch lacrosse, the more I understand field, and the more I actually can enjoy it while I watch it, or when I watch it. So I'm going to start with D1 college this year, and then the PLL. We will also I'm leaning towards covering those two things. So if you guys don't want me to do that, you want me to strictly stick to box lacrosse, please let me know. But I know there's fans all over the place. Some just like box, some just like field, some like both. And to be honest, I think I could get into either. So definitely going to be following the whole the run for the Man Cup. We'll be still following all that kind of stuff. All the OJLL, the OJLL. I'm also going to be trying to do some East Coast stuff. Try to do some stuff more locally as well, and for the East Coast Junior A League out here. Hopefully get them some exposure as well. So I got a couple plans. For definitely box isn't going anywhere. I love it, but I would like to also kind of understand field a little bit. So with that being said, you guys let me know what you think and what you guys want to see me do. And if you do want me to see me do field, I will say I have zero experience when it comes to field. So very, very little anyway. I watched the PLL final last year. I did that kind of stuff, but like my knowledge is very little. I don't even know. Like I know the guys from the NLL that play in the PLL a little bit, but I definitely have to go over all the rosters and stuff. So again, let me know what you guys think about that. And I'm thinking about switching one box lacrosse podcast a week and then one field lacrosse podcast a week. I think that'd be kind of a cool little format and keep everything a little bit more fresh too. So longer episodes probably, because I got to condense a lot more into one episode. So you guys let me know. Again, let me know what you think about that. So first thing I want to talk about today, speaking of the NLL and PLL and box and field, and I know I troll a lot and I always say, box is better than field, or box is like lacrosse is better than hockey. And that's just me trying to get box lacrosse out there, because box lacrosse is a very niche sport. So what I came up with, and this might be my best idea of all time, guys, and I think some of you could probably attest to that by some of the stuff I spew out, but I'm still new. Give me a break at least. PLL versus NLL All-Star game, whatever you want to call it. Ideally, you would have best on best, right? Where you would have the NLL All-Stars, the PLL All-Stars, they would get together, they would play a game. And I think the best way to do this is in a sixes, because it keeps it on a level playing field. Because to go take box guys to go play field against field guys, that would be a disadvantage. Same vice versa, bringing them into box, a disadvantage. But sixes is kind of that magic in between. Now, I do like sixes. I think it needs tweaks though in order to really get out there. I think it's fast enough in order to keep people's attention, because it's such short quarters, that I think that it doesn't, like, I would like to see hitting it. That's my biggest gripe with the sixes, is there's no contact, or there's not supposed to be any contact. The cards, there's different rules into it that I'm not a massive fan of. Like I always say, I wish they would just put box outside, boom, done. Like there you go. Box on turf, boom, keep. Like that's to me is that'd be awesome, But I do think that this PLL NLL game in a sixes format with the Olympics coming up would help explode the game of lacrosse. Also, it would show collaboration between both leagues. They're trying to work together, because that's a big narrative out there that the leagues all want to work together. Whether that's the NLL not wanting to work with PLL, or the PLL not wanting to work with the NLL. I'm in a little bit of an echo chamber over here. It's gonna be interesting if I do start covering the PLL once I get all that knowledge, how my opinions are going to change a little bit based on this topic. But right now, it looks like to me that the NLL is trying to work with the PLL, or they're at least open to it, where the PLL almost pretends like the NLL doesn't exist. And that's why I think that would be a harder kind of barrier to break in that sense. But I think this would be great for the sport of lacrosse in general because it might bring over some box fans that maybe don't watch field a lot and vice versa, right? And it might open some doors. I think that at the end of the day, if everybody wants lacrosse to grow, then there is no excuse for this not to happen. Now, we can say, oh, well, what about, trying to get all stars to play because you got a summer league and all this stuff? Ideally, it would be all star guys, right? The best on best. But at the end of the day, as long as there's representatives, just having the event would be an absolutely cool experience, right? At least the first couple of years for sure, it might get stale. We can figure something out as time goes on. Ideally, you'd have actually a 3-game series, but I just know that's not like that's way too far out of reach. Having one game, I think, is attainable. It's one day, everyone shows up. It's a, I don't want to say it's a light day because I think both leagues would be going hard. The one big thing that I've heard from, what I've put out on social media already about this is, well, what about the guys that play in both leagues? Well, I got 2 options for you. One, they could choose where they want to play. That's pretty much the simplest way, right? Just choose where you want to play. You represent that. Boom, boom, boom. The other thing that you could do, you could also get the NLL PLL to do a draft. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are hockey fans, but the one year they had this draft in the NHL All-Star game where they had 2 captains and the teams drafted. It was somewhat scripted for sure, but it was really funny, kind of entertaining, and they get a prize out at the end and all that stuff. So to like the last picked guy, if the PLL guys and the NLL guys could sit in a room, great. But even if they could get on a video chat and just kind of do it like this, it would be amazing for the sport. It would get things talking, especially about box cross. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive to sit there and be like, this would help box across probably more than it would help fields. But at the end of the day, field's not massive in Canada yet, and I do think there is a huge area for it to grow into here. So I don't see any arguments why this couldn't be done other than, egos. I don't know. Somebody tell me why this couldn't work. Like, even if you didn't have the top players playing, just have representatives from each team. You're telling me you can't get a team of, Sixes rules. There's only what, 10 guys on a roster. You can't throw 10 guys or even do a little hybrid, right? So you get more stars in there, arguably. Like maybe a box, like a 20 team, even a 20 or 15 guys per team or something. Maybe 10, like you got to do something. Maybe 10 with 2 goalies, like don't count the goalies. That's what I always say about even the Sixes. I'd prefer to see them go to the Olympics with 2 goalies and then 10 players, but I digress. It is what it is. We got to take what we can get. So that's kind of my idea on this. I personally, like I said, I think it's one of my best ideas. Doing it in Sixes as well, I want to mention, it would also help grow the sport of Sixes because Sixes has this like stigma on it. Some guys really love it. And I'll tell you who loves it, the Americans. A lot of the Americans I talk to, they're the guys who really like Sixes. And I find the Northern guys don't really like it, like the Canadian guys. I'm kind of impartial to it in the sense, like I said, I think it has potential. A lot of guys are very like hard no. There are a couple guys that are like kind of like me that are, I personally just think it needs tweaks. Like I said, no contact is a big one for me. I don't like there's no face off after every goal. It just slows the games down a little bit. I find they're a little bit too fast. Like even me watching it, it's almost hard to keep up. And get rid of the fucking pennies, man. We're a professional. We're supposed to be a professional thing here. I know whatever. Like it's the field thing. I get it, but like just put a jersey on. It's just so much better. You can market it better for sales. Get like the name of the players on there. We need to do a better job marketing these stars. Like that. This is the way. This would be probably the most watched lacrosse event ever if this happened because the PLL guys are going to be like, yeah, PLL's better. The NLL guys are going to be like, yeah, NLL's better, and we're gonna see who wins. Now, to be honest, I think the NLL wins, and I'm biased on this. And I guess, again, I'm in a little bit out of my depth, maybe because I don't know enough about the PLL, but I know all the top guys in the NLL, like all the top guys in the PLL also play in the NLL. But then you also have guys that play only in the NLL and then the summer leagues that are also right up there with those guys. So that's how I look at it. That's why I think the NLL will win, unless you had basically all the guys from the NLL that played in both, or the NLL PLL ended up choosing to go play for their PLL teams. Then they get a run for their money. They do. Right. But if you're just talking, if, let's say, even if it's just guys or that's another rule you could do is if you play in both, you're excluded and you only take guys from each league. So I don't really like that as much because you got to have Jeff Teat in that game, like, especially to sell the sport and the stars and stuff. So, but like I said, I think this has honestly been one of my better ideas. Yeah. And it's just like I said, it's just a great way to grow the game of lacrosse. And I think at the end of the day, that's what everyone's trying to do, right? I would hope so. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I know a lot of people are trying to do. Let's hope that this can work out and we can get an NLL and PLL game. I think it'd be sick. And maybe you can do it at the beginning of the PLL season, kind of the end of the NLL season kind of deal, somewhere in that range. Like I know the dates are going to be a shit show to try to match up. I know that. And I don't know what it is. Maybe the NLL takes an all-star break, make an all-star game, and make it the NLL versus PL game. Make it like a big event like you do these college games where it's like rivalry games and all that stuff. And look how well that works in college sports. It works amazing. This would be an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. I just love it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little biased because I came up with it, but I do think it's really cool. So if anybody knows anybody in these leagues, especially the PLL, get this information to them and let's try to get this out because I think this would be super cool. So here we go. So in the Discord, we got into a little like just debate like we always do. Join the Discord if you're not. It's an amazing place. You get to learn a lot. I argue points, but I am very easily like I change my mind very easily because if somebody brings up a good point, I'm not gonna and I look at it and I'm like, okay, you are right. I'm not gonna deny that. That's kind of what happened. I didn't mention Vancouver is an elite defensive team, and I think I kind of just forgot. But like about Vancouver, I just didn't actually mention them in the breath because I've been pretty vocal on like the four top teams are like Vancouver, Buffalo, Saskatchewan, Halifax. Those are the four cream of the crop teams, and Rochester right under there. But what I've been saying about Rochester is they can't. They had a hard time last season scoring on top defenses or elite defenses. I consider more like top defenses, I would say. And then when they played Colorado, who I consider to be one of the top level defenses in the league, I think that they definitely had one off game there, but for the most part, I think that they're a pretty solid defensive core and with their back end. And when I talk defensive core too, defensive back, like defensive team, I'm including the goalie in this. Like the goalie is a factor because at the end of the day, if you're going to let your goalie get lit up, you're going to have a bad defense. Now, goalies can make your defensive look a little bit better, but I think overall, I think it's just a team. It's a team aspect, right? So I don't want to say, I'm not just going to take just defense out here. I'm going to take the goalie into consideration when I talk in these defenses as a team. This is team defense, right? Because goals against average is a team defense issue, right? Or problem, whatever you want to call it. So I went through every team. I ranked them all into different categories. So anyway, we got into it today in the Discord a little bit and just talking about this stuff. And it got confusing because everyone's talking and I was like busy. So I was like responding and I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like, so like the world revolves around me kind of deal. It's so funny. I'm just, sometimes like my mind is just, so anyway, so I'm like responding and it just got confusing. So I wanted to I'm going to probably clip this and send this off too. But I wanted to make my stance clear here on this. I personally think the elite or the top level defenses in the league right now, if I had to pick them, and these are the teams, let's just put them, these are the teams that I think Rochester is going to have a hard time playing against. Vegas is going to have a hard time playing against because they are what I consider really offensive teams, but their back end does need help. Vegas is getting better though. I will say that Vegas does seem like they're kind of starting to climb up. But as of right now, and I also want to mention this is a small sample size. We're only in week 6. A lot of teams have only had 4 games. So keep this all in mind when we're talking about this, right? So just to keep that in mind. But so my teams would be like, I think Georgia, surprisingly. Now, this is one that actually creeped up because I didn't think Georgia was going to be in this list. But I mean, the stats don't lie and my eye test doesn't lie. Georgia is the best defensive team in the league right now. Then you got Colorado, I think is up there, or I personally think is up there. This is what before I want to talk. I want to say this is before I looked at the numbers. So anyway, so these are my teams before I looked at the stats. Okay, so I Colorado, Georgia. Even before I looked at the stats, I knew Georgia was up there. So Georgia, Colorado, Vancouver, Saskatchewan, Halifax, and then I've got kind of Buffalo right there. Like I didn't really have them on there to be honest with you. I think they're still an amazing team. I just wouldn't. I don't know if I consider their defense right now a top tier defense. To be honest with you, I'm not saying they can't win games. I'm not saying Matt Vince is amazing, but I'm just saying that's what I was thinking beforehand. Now I'm going to go over the stats, and I'm a big numbers guy, so numbers don't lie, and they change their mind. Now this again small sample size, so this is still kind of to be debatable. If you think one of your teams' defense is better than it is, I get it because it's still like it really depends on how teams have played. But I'm going to go run through them here with you. I've broken them down into elite, very strong, or top tier. So elite is under 9 goals against, essentially. Very strong is under 10.5 for top tier. Passable, okay, I put it around 12.5 because you can still win games if you're only letting up about 12.5 goals. You're still right there in the range. And then needs improvement is about 12.5 over because if you're letting more than 12.5 in, you probably want to bring that down because it is hard to get. You can still win games at this range. You can, but it's just you better be putting goals up like crazy. We have. So in elites, we've got Georgia on top of the league. So 7.5 goals a game is average for them. 30 goals against in 4 games. That's huge. That's number 1 in the league. Like I said, Brett Dobson has been on a whole nother level this year. Even when he lost, their offense really wasn't producing at first. Last game, they did a lot better. It's looking very promising for them. Georgia's kind of in that bubble team. I've said that from the beginning of the year. We'll see how they do. If they do make the playoffs, Brett Dobson's going to be a massive reason, and so is this defense. And they're young and hungry. So anyway, we got Halifax at 775. You got Vancouver at an 833, and you got Saskatchewan at 880. And Vancouver, really, that after that first game that they had, which was rough, it's really surprising that they're this high, right? Vancouver, on paper, from the beginning of the season, I was saying like they were the most complete team. I thought Saskatchewan is the best team. Vancouver is the most complete team on paper. They looked like it. Like they just with their what was already there, what they added, they're looking like they're prime, and they are. Really, we haven't seen the best out of Vancouver yet. They're just getting warmed up. So this isn't. I think they're elite all day. Saskatchewan is also at an 880 with 44 goals in 5 games. So and Vancouver's only played 3 games as well, right? So that's the other thing. So those are my elite teams. Those are under 9 goals. Normally, I would say like if we were talking last year, I would have said if you were under 10 goals, that's super elite, right? So that's why I think a lot of teams right now are even in the elite category where really there probably should only be 2 teams up here in this actual quote unquote elite category, right? It should really only cream the crop. But when you have 4 teams that have under 9 goals against average, that's insane. And that to me, it just shows how good the league is and how good these goalies have been this season. So I couldn't not put these teams in the elite category with an under 9. That's crazy, right? So they're all playing absolutely amazing. Next, we have very strong. So, or top tier. I like to call them more top tier. Well, this is under 10.5 goals. So you have Buffalo with a 10 goal against average. So that's what I mean. It's almost like they're just sitting out that side. It's not that they're not a really good team. They're not a really good defense, all that kind of stuff. I don't consider them elite. Now, are they top tier? Yes. Is Rochester still going to have a hard time playing against Buffalo? Absolutely 1000% yes. Okay. That's not what I was saying. Colorado, I'm surprised by Colorado being this low. I thought they would be in the elite category, honestly, just by like kind of basing on what I've watched. But I will say they had a really bad game last week. So you can see this week they played a lot better. I was really impressed with their defensive game this week, but I was also really impressed with their offensive game this week because they played a juggernaut not this week, right? And won. So that's huge. Because at the end of the day, Rochester don't like they are a killer team. Like I think I talk about these teams and I don't want to come off as like hating on them. I'm just looking at the situation as a neutral fan and just, okay, this is what my thoughts on the situation are. That's why I honestly, the more I go into this, the less and less I want to actually pick a team because I'm just like, I can look at a team objectively and like place them, I find. Whereas if I'm a fan, you're always kind of, and I know this being a Leaf fan, you're always kind of like looking for the good in your team. So we've got, Colorado at 10, Buffalo at 10. Both have 40 goals in 4 games. Huge. And then Oshawa is 51 goals in 5 games, or 51 goals against 5 games, and a 10-20. So like this, I was actually a little bit surprised by Oshawa, and then I thought about it, and I was like, no, they just really haven't been getting offense. So if they can just continue to do what they did this weekend, I know again they unfortunately lost. Ottawa's a really good team, but Oshawa's right there, and it's just if they can just keep that consistency up again. This was probably their worst defensive game, arguably, but they got the offense. So now they just got to kind of figure it out. But Oshawa, I still think they're a sleeper. And as of right now, if I had to pick, I would still think they have a good shot at making the playoffs. They really do. I know their record doesn't show that, but I just have this gut feeling. And by this week, the way I pick teams from now on, or for next week at least, this could change week to week. But for next week, I'll be going based off my gut because the last 2 weeks I haven't, and I just haven't. Like I've gone off my gut a little bit. I did say Calgary was going to win this week, and they did. But I second guessed myself in the Rochester game. I thought Colorado was going to win that game, and they didn't. But anyway, sorry about that. So anyway, now we're at the passable. So this is anything under 12.5, right? So we got Toronto with 11.67. You got Ottawa, which isn't that ironic that that's their Toronto stat right now, 6-7. Oh man, 1967. That's traumatizing. Okay, guys, as a Leaf fan, 1967. Sorry, that's how traumatized Leaf fans are. Just let you know. Little sidebar here. We see the number 6-7. All these kids are saying 6-7. They think it's a meme. To us, that's like devastating year. Anyway, I digress. And so you have Toronto with an 11.67, Ottawa with 12 goal against, which again, I think that Higgins see, that's the thing. Higgins was last time he was at about 77%. So not horrible, honestly. And a little bit needs to be a little bit better. This week, I personally found Higgins was fantastic. Made some massive saves when he needed to. Big breakaway save. Like he did his job this weekend. I like Higgins. I still really do like Higgins. I just think that all these other goalies have been so elite that it's hard to keep up to them. So Higgins is still a solid goaltender. I think Ottawa to me is honestly a dark horse. Like they're kind of right now, if I had to pick a dark horse team to run with it this year, I would take them. And I know that's crazy to say, but just the way they look, man, they're solid. I think they're even this goal against average. I think that this team could push into that top tier if they can just first off continue to put up goals, but if they can just kind of lock down a little bit better. But whatever they're doing is working because they're getting a ton of offense. So we'll see. they're going to get wins like this, but I think they do need to lower this down. Rochester, same kind of thing, 36 goals for, 3 games played, and with a 12 goal against average. And same as Vegas, 50 goals for, 4 games played, and a 12 goal against average. These two teams, I've been saying this for a while. Vegas and Rochester to me are built very similarly, and they're very offensively minded. Like they're super offensive. They're so talented offensively, especially Chase Frazier, which we'll get into when we get to Vegas. But they're so talented offensively that it's just, if they could just tighten up on defense, they'd be better. But it's a tight league. I mean, Rochester, this game wasn't their greatest game. Let's just put it that way. I think they're going to bounce back next week. I think they've got 2 games next week. One's against Buffalo, so that's going to be a rough game. That's a hard game for them to go in and beat them. But you never know in this league. I always say that, so we'll see. That's going to be a big tester for them. Like I said, can they put up? If you're going to let 12 in, you got to put up at least 14 goals a game, right? To really give yourself a chance. So can Rochester do it? If anybody can, it's them for sure. But, we'll see. And then Vegas, same kind of thing. It's very offensive. So, and then we got anything over 12.5, I think needs improvement, right? And again, Philadelphia, 7, another 6-7. 38 goals for, or sorry, 38 goals against, 3 games played. So again, Philadelphia's very small sample size at 3. Philadelphia is that scrappy team. Philadelphia is unfortunately just going to be they've got a rough season coming up. But I will say I love Brendan O'Neill. He might be becoming my favorite player. And the PLL was pumping his tires just before the season started. And I was like, I wonder if they're just like pumping this guy's tires or whatnot. Now that I see him play, I'm like, yeah, no, they were definitely not pumping his tires. They're like, he is a really, really, really good player. I don't want to say this because like I don't know enough about shots, but to me, when I look at with my inexperienced eye, I think he has one of the best shots in the league, if not the best shot in the league. I know Randy Stotts is up there for sure. Jeff T. Like there's some guys that are really up there. Maybe he's not quite the best shot yet, but he's getting there. Like his release, the power in his shot. Chase Frazier blew through the net this weekend, though, in all fairness. So maybe he should be considered there too. But Brendan O'Neill is such a freaking beast. And if they stay in Philly, great. If they relocate somewhere else, great. Whoever gets this kid, if this kid stays in Philly, he's a beast, this kid. Then we have Calgary at 12.75, with San Diego at 14.33. So Calgary first, 51 goals in 4 games against, 51 goals against in 4 games. Calgary looked way better this weekend. Now, this is one of those, another team that's just going to be like, I think Calgary's expecting more of them, but like when you look at the other teams and you look at how everything's shaped up, this does make a lot of sense where Calgary is. Like this isn't surprising. And to me, they're the youngest team in the league and they have a lot of guys on there. So the only thing I always say is like, it's unfortunate they don't have the first overall pick, but at the end of the day, they look so strong with these young kids. Manning looks good. Dixon looks good. Tyler Pace, just it goes on and on. Aiden Walsh, I thought played really well. And this goal against average isn't really on him. He didn't have I think his first game maybe wasn't the greatest, but last night, honestly, the third quarter wasn't great for him. I will say that, but he played an amazing first half and he finished out the game really strong. So you can't hate. He got the W and what a massive win that they needed. San Diego has the lowest goal against average of 14.33. Irregularity went down yesterday. I haven't heard what's going on with him yet, but that's pretty scary. Dunkerley played pretty good coming in there, and he's not bad. But Calgary really was pushed to win, and the goalie depth is just so hard in this league. This is kind of the way San Diego's played the last 2 games is what I thought San Diego was going to look like when I was looking at their team before the season started, and that's what I was saying when I thought I just wasn't impressed with the roster. Then I seen Leclerc in there, play in the first week in the preseason. Small was a nice addition, but the back end is it's not good enough in the back end, and they're not a powerful enough offense like Rochester, like Vegas to really push themselves over, I think anyway. Now, that being said, they came out really strong, week 1 and during the preseason. So we'll see if they can get that magic going. But the last 2 games is more where I seen San Diego sitting. Georgia to be on top, I would have never guessed that at the beginning of the season, right? But they have a great defensive team. Halifax, not surprising, especially because they played Saskatchewan the last 2 games. That's really brought it down. I think they probably would be in the top spot if it wasn't for that. But this is, again, very realistically a very small sample size. But Saskatchewan 880 with 5 games played, so that's they're holding strong. Frankie's looking good, man. They know how to get people's heads. They're a veteran team. they play lacrosse. Everybody should be studying Saskatchewan on how they play this year because they know how to get in your head. They can score from anywhere. They got great defense. They got great goaltending. Like they're up and down right there. I'll be very shocked if I don't see Saskatchewan back in the finals this year. Like that. I think that's kind of like it's going to be disappointing for them also, but I can't see it because they're just so good. We're going to run through each game individually here now. So we'll go into the games now and all right. So game one, which was Friday night, was a rematch from the week before. Saskatchewan versus Halifax. Halifax showing what Saskatchewan learning how to bug Halifax, beating Halifax 11-7 in their own barn. Definitely a different style game this weekend with Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan played good. I'm not gonna lie. They can score from anywhere. Like I've said so many times, Frankie played lights out. Saskatchewan knows how to get under people's skin, and it's funny. But their socials put out a meme with a Halifax logo with a tear under their eye. This to me is the final right there. If I had to guess right now who's going to play in the finals this year, it would have to be Halifax versus Saskatchewan. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Halifax has to get more disciplined. They took way too many stupid penalties. Let's talk about penalties for a minute. Now, yes, they took probably 3 or 4 really stupid ass penalties. One, Tyson Bell, which I love Tyson Bell. Don't get me wrong. But Tyson Bell took a stupid penalty where he scored a goal, got in the player's face. And I don't know what he did, honestly. Like I think he might have cross-checked him or something, but took a penalty. Ref gave him a penalty to the box. There was another one where I can't remember who it was. Somebody's on the ground. Another guy walking by, cross-checks buddy on the ground. Ref's behind him, sees the whole thing. You cannot do that. That's a dumbass penalty, guys. The changing penalties, stupid-ass penalties. I say that all the time. Professional sports, you should never get a changing penalty. You're a professional fucking athlete, man. This is your job. You shouldn't be doing, well, maybe a lot for the NLL guys, a little bit. But this is like, you fucking play this pro. You shouldn't be taking penalties and infractions. Again, maybe I'm just a fan. Maybe I'm talking way out of my depth here, but that's just what I think. I hate those penalties in hockey. I hate them in lacrosse. I think they're stupid. They just, when you take one, you're just not paying attention enough. That's legit the only excuse. Like that, or that's the only reason, right? You're just not paying attention enough. So with that being said, now with all that being said, Halifax did kind of, again, shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, but wow. If I can't believe the favoritism in this reffing in this game. I'm usually so on the sides of the refs. I'm big on this. I've said this before. I'm impressed with the ref. I think we have the best referees in the world in the NLL. The way they take accountability, the way they look at their mistakes. They get sent their mistakes from their like top league representatives or league official representatives and say, yo, this is what you kind of made a mistake. This is some stuff you did good. This is where you can work on, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if any other leagues do that. I'm sure they do, but this is the only one that I've actually heard doing that. What the fuck happened here in this game? Soft calls. In the call, like the one that really stands out to me is the one where his stick was in the net or whatever. Like it was the stupidest fucking, like a stupid penalty. Now, I don't know, maybe, whatever. Just some of the dives that Saskatchewan was taking, blatantly embellishing the calls. Like I was just like, what is going on here? And I watched this game with Michael Carvelis and a couple other guys as well. Captain from X as well. He took the over on that game. But he's doing a ladder challenge, all that stuff. Go check more on X. And he does the ladder challenge. Here, let's look him up so I don't fuck up his name. So see, his name's El Capitan Pix. So El Cap CAP -E TAIN Pix. So that's his name. I just wanted to make sure I got that right. And then I can't remember who the other guy was. There was one more guy in there, and I can't remember who that was. So I apologize. I didn't get your name there. But anyway, it was a great time. I would do that again all day. And I think they do that every week. So I might be jumping in with them. So check it out. I usually stream anyway, but that was the first time I did anything like that. And I had a really good time with those guys. So we talked shit the whole time, and it was funny. I had a great time with those guys. They were great. Talked a bunch of stuff, and got to chirp Michael a little bit. He got to chirp me a little bit. That's what it's all about. Just busting each other's balls a bit on our picks and stuff, and I love it. So anyway, back to the Halifax Saskatchewan game. I get so off topic. Well, anyway, Saskatchewan beat Halifax 11-7. We have Saskatchewan going up 2-0 in the first quarter. 5 goals by Halifax. 4 goals by Saskatchewan in the second quarter. Then we've got third quarter is 2 goals by Halifax, and Halifax got 0 in the fourth. So that's 0 in the first and the fourth for Halifax, unacceptable. And then 3 in the fourth for Saskatchewan. So 11-7. So like I said, it was just really, I found they got into their head too much, and it was just crazy. So a couple things, face-offs, Halifax, face-offs counted in this game, boys. I was going into that with Michael. I was like, the stats don't say farewell to face-offs mean anything, and I find that so hard to process in my head, but the numbers don't lie. But I don't know if it's just a very small sample size I'm looking at too. So here's another good example of how they do count. Saskatchewan, Halifax, 37 shots on goal, 9 for 21 in the faceoff dot or the faceoff circle. Power plays 2 for 5 and 18 penalty minutes. In the Saskatchewan, you had 54 shots on goal, so way outshot Halifax. 12 for 21 on the faceoff, in the faceoff circle, and 4 for 8 on the power play, and 12 minutes in the penalty. But I think a lot of those were at the end of the game, to be honest with you, if I'm not mistaken. A couple stats that really stick out to me right away is Clark Peterson with 10 shots on goal. Matt Hosek with 10 loose ball pickups. Both brothers, actually. Graham got 9. Matt got 10, so that'll be some bragging rights next time they're at the dinner table, I'm sure, together. You got Warren Hill, obviously, with 43 saves, and Frank Cheliano only had 30 saves, but still, they were fantastic. Good on them. Ryan Keenan with 4 goals as well. A lot of sharing the love here. Oh, very good. So, Clark Peterson with 5 points for led Halifax, and then we've got Ryan Keenan with 6 points, 4 goals, 2 assists for leading Saskatchewan. Loose balls. I love loose ball stats. Cause turnovers. Let's see. So a little kind of interesting stat here. I love using NLLstats.com too for my stats. I check both out, don't get me wrong. Graham Perro, shout out to him. He made an amazing site. It's more in-depth than the NLL, which is a joke, by the way. Just fucking hire Graham to do your site because he does a better job. I'm sorry. Again, league. I'll praise you when you're good, but I'm also going to rip you apart when you're bad. And there's no way Graham, does this as a passion project for the community, has a better site than the NLL. I'm sorry. Like, that's crazy. Like, not a better site, but more accurate stats, more in-depth stats that I can find is on here. And it's crazy to me. And that's it. Like, I just don't understand it. So anyway, kind of an interesting stat to me that's really, might make or break the game here is caused turnovers. So for Halifax, there's only 4 caused turnovers. For Saskatchewan, there was 9. So again, that's pretty huge. And then loose balls, there were 74 loose balls for 74 loose balls. So 74 loose balls for Halifax or for Saskatchewan, and 53 loose balls for Halifax. So, that's again a big difference. There's a lot of big differences here. That's a really big difference. We've got in the faceoffs, Saskatchewan was close to 60%, 57.1%. Again, huge. Warren Hill still at an 80 save percentage, where Frank Cheliano had an 81.1 save percentage. So still better, but Warren Hill is definitely the more peppered guy, and obviously a few empty netters there. So still both a very good goalie battle again between those two. But again, like I said, just stupid ass, dumbass penalties taken by Halifax, and then also just like the refs, not in my opinion, not being very even in their roughing opinion, just from what I've seen, guys. And you go let me know what you think. Like, leave in the comments if I'm way off base here. But I've talked to a few different people, and I'm not the only one saying this. So if I'm seeing this and other people are seeing this, you can't tell me that, you guys at the big bosses can't see this, So let's start with let's go Las Vegas. Let's go Las Vegas versus Buffalo, okay? Buffalo won 15-13 over Vegas. This is a game that I got wrong. I had a really gut feeling that Vegas was going to win this. They really need this win. Buffalo showing why they are the cream of the crop teams. Overall, Buffalo is a beast of a team. They're still a contender, hands down. And this is really what makes the difference is these games. It's, a couple goals can really cost you your season. Vegas getting in the first they got 1, then 2, then 8. They got 8 in the fourth. So we got 8 in the fourth quarter. So that's what I mean. They had the potential to beat Buffalo. They just didn't do enough. And here's what I'm talking about Buffalo. I love Buffalo. Now I know, there's a lot of haters on Buffalo. I completely understand it. I'm not a fan of anybody, so I love it. I enjoy watching Buffalo. And this is what Buffalo does really well. I almost want to argue that no other team does this. Maybe Saskatchewan, maybe. But basically, I'd have to go look back at everything. For example, so we had Buffalo get 3 goals in the first, 4 in the second, 4 in the third, 4 in the fourth. What does that show you? That shows you consistency. They're going to put 3 or 4 goals up every quarter. And that's pretty much what they do, what they've been doing every quarter. And when they need a goal, they go turn it on, they crank it up, and they go get it. So they start the game the same way that they finish the game. That's what I love about Buffalo. That's why they are a veteran team. That's why they are the 3-peat champions, because you know what you're going to get. You're going to show up and play lacrosse. And that's what I love about it. It's fantastic by them. Actually, this is a nice little interesting stat. Longest drought is for Vegas was 13-25. Longest drought for Buffalo is 14-44. And their Vegas had a 5-goal streak, longest streak, and Buffalo had 3 was their longest streak. And Buffalo had a 7-goal lead, and Las Vegas did not lead at all. And this is the other thing. If you want to beat these top level teams, you have to get out first. That's a big thing. If you could get out first, I would love to see the stat on that. I might have to actually look that up, but I would love to see the stat on that when, like, where like how many when a team scores first, how many times do they win? Like I would really like to see. I think that'd be a really cool thing to check out. Landon Kells got pulled this game, and he was at a 71.9 save percentage. Bouquet was at a 70.6 save percentage. Landon Kells then 15. Or no, what did he let in? So Landon Kells let in. Sorry, Landon Kells had 32 shots and 23 saves, and Bouquet had 17 shots and 12 saves. And Matt Vince had full 60 minutes, obviously, 45 shots, 32 saves, 13 goals against with a 71.1 save percentage. To be honest with you, has to be better. And it's that fourth quarter that killed them. But it's not just him. It's a team effort. Don't get me wrong. It's not just Vince. Vince, to be honest with you, Vince is playing exactly the way Vince should be playing. You can't expect him to be this. He's not going to be the same Vince that we remember, right? He's still going to start to slow down. Not saying he can't play because his that's going to bring his average down. Don't get me wrong, but overall, he's still pretty solid overall. So I'm not worried about it. He's still got the W. That's all that matters. Mitch Jones led Vegas with 8 points. Donville with 5 goals and 4 assists. Mitch Jones had 5 goals, 3 assists. Klutz with 4 goals, no assists. Chase Frazier, 1 goal, 4 assists. But that 1 goal that he got, wow, did he make that count? That went right through the net. They actually stopped the game to see it, and it was a monster of a shot. And then you had like Jackson Webb with 4 points, 4 assists, then a bunch of other guys with some other stuff. Tyrell Hammer Jackson got his first goal of the season, and Kells didn't get an assist there. Yeah. So on the other side of things, you had Josh Byrne with 9 points, Dane Smith with 8, 3 goals, 6 assists for Burns, 2 goals, 6 assists for Dane Smith. Ian McKay having a big night as well, 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists, got the hat trick. Kyle Buchanan coming up big, 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. There's Scanlan again, a goal and 2 assists, huge. Ananakoke with a goal and an assist as well. Wise with two assists. So loose balls were 64 to 79. 79 going to Buffalo. Huge stat. Turnovers were 11 to 10, actually in favor of Vegas. So those are the kind of stats that I like to look at personally. Good on them. Good on them to win that one. Buffalo holding on there, but Vegas just needs to get going earlier. That's the biggest thing. I think Vegas makes the playoffs. I really do. Right now, I'd have to say that they should have a good chance to make playoffs. Okay, here we go. So next we have Ottawa versus Oshawa, Battle of Ontario, and what a game this was. So I ended up going to rewatch this because I was watching, kind of flipping back and forth between the Buffalo game, mainly focusing on that one because I thought Vegas was going to pull one out, and I really wanted to watch this after. And what a game! This did not disappoint. But Jeff Teat with 10 points leading the team. You had 3 goals, 7 assists. Then you had Landon Sundown, which honestly, because I don't want to be basic, I'm not going to say Jeff Teat's my favorite player, but I'm going to say Landon Sundown, I think, is my favorite Ottawa Black-haired player. Kid's amazing. Wow. 4 goals, 1 assist. Every time I watch the Ottawa play, I think I see this kid get better and better and better every game. So it's just, this kid's amazing, man. You got Connor Kiernan with Connor Kiernan with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Riley O'Connor, which is another good contributor, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Robert Hellier with a goal and 4 assists for 5 points. And again, honestly, I know maybe that's not like 8, 9 points like he's been getting some games, but he had some big plays. You got Sam Firth, which I like him too. He's another guy that nobody really talks about that is very good. So he got a goal and assist as well. And then I'm just trying to see if anybody else really sticks out. No, not really. And Jeff Teat, 15 shots on goal, huge. Robert Hellier put 10 up. Both of them got 7 loose balls as well. That's a pretty big stat. Noseworthy got 9 loose balls. That's a good one. Callum Jones got 12. And those turnovers, nobody really overly stands out. Callum Jones, though. Callum Jones with 12 loose ball pickups and 2 caused turnovers. Pretty good, honestly. And then on the other side of things, you got Alex Simmons with 11 points, 6 goals, 5 assists. Ocktrek, huge. Alex Simmons is on a whole nother level. 19 shots on goal, still picking up 3 loose balls. Ty Kurtz, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. And he had 13 shots on goal as well, but 11 loose ball pickups. So that's huge. I think he takes faceoffs, though. No. Was he taking faceoffs? I'm not sure. But still, not bad. I know that's kind of a different stat. Ethan Walker, I really like. A goal and 6 assists. I like that guy, captain of the team. And he does everything. Like, you got 6 loose balls, 2 caused turnovers, and 7 shots on goal. Dyson, finally, we've seen the Dyson that I thought we should be seeing from the beginning of the season. 4 goals, 1 assist, 5-point game, 13 shots on net. Like, just a big game for him, man. So, yeah, and then it kind of falls off for scoring-wise. But you still had, like, Will Johansson getting 7 loose balls. So that's huge. Mike Bird, 8 loose balls. And then team-wise, have 54 loose balls to 73. Got 72 loose balls. by Ottawa, and you've got 73 loose balls by Oshawa, so very close. And then 9 caused turnover by Ottawa and 7 caused turnovers by Oshawa. Again, huge. Higgins, 75.4 save percentage. So again, still probably has to be a little bit better, but 57 shots on, 43 saves, 14 goals against. Still has to be a little bit better. I need to see more out of Higgins. Dougie Jameson, a little bit of a rough game. 14 goals against, 52 shots, but again, so many shots, man. 38 saves, 14 goals against, and on average, and 73.1 save percentage. So again, probably a little bit, could do a little bit more out of there, obviously, but it is what it is. And Ottawa getting 4 out of the bat, 1 in the second, 4 in the third, and then 7 in the fourth to really close it off and win this game. You got Oshawa have 3 in the first, 4 in the second, 4 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. So a lot more consistent scoring, very similar to Buffalo scoring, but unfortunately Ottawa is on a whole nother level in that fourth quarter, which just killed them. So good for them. Very proud of Ottawa. Like I always say, I'm probably getting sick of hearing this, but if I have one prediction come true, I'm praying that it's that one. It's that Ottawa can make the playoffs, because I'm telling you, Jeff T is just to waste a player talent like Jeff T. Like, look what he just did this weekend. Look what he does week in and week out. It's just ridiculous. And to not see him in the playoffs is just, it's just unacceptable. We need to have him in the playoffs. Let's get Ottawa in the playoffs. Let's get those that arena filled when they're there, and let's get it, guys. Anyway, we had Colorado beating Rochester 18-13. So a couple things. Rochester, I've been saying for a little while that everyone, actually for the whole offseason, for everything, I think Rochester is overhyped. Once I see them play, I was like, wow, they're good offensively. Now I knew that from last season too, but I've been saying, last season I remember, now I wasn't going over these stats as hardcore and in depth after every game. So maybe I'm not, I'm going more off eye test last year, I'm going to say. But I remember last season that Rochester had a hard time scoring against top level defenses. And I've been saying this whole time, like, wait till they play a top level defense. Wait till they play a top level defense. Well, Colorado is really right at that top level defense, in my opinion, and by the numbers, obviously. And they had a rough game, but they've found their offense. Jack Hanna was a massive, massive pickup for them. It kind of gave them the spark, all that kind of stuff. I had them originally winning, and I switched it because I was listening to everybody else's opinions. Don't listen to anybody else's opinions, including that's coming from me, okay? Fucking make your own opinion judgment, because that's exactly, I let too much noise get in my head, and I just didn't go with what my gut was telling me. So this next week, I will be going strictly based off my gut feeling, and that's just how we're going to go, okay? So massive game for Colorado, much needed win. It's funny because Colorado's beating these teams, in my opinion, they shouldn't beat, right? Shouldn't beat. And then they're losing against teams they probably should beat, right? So this is the sport of lacrosse. You never know, right? That's the real trick, and that's why I love this. That's why I love this sport so much. So right away, you have Rochester getting 5 in the first, coming out strong. Colorado getting 4, but we'll go over that in a minute. Right? So Rochester getting 5 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. And then Colorado getting 4 in the first, 7 in the second. So this is where they really took over the game. 1 in the third, and then 6 in the fourth. But that second quarter is really what won them the game. Rochester, longest drought was 14:45. Colorado's with 13:29. Longest streak, Rochester had 4 goals in a row. Colorado had 7 goals in a row. So, and the biggest lead was Rochester had it by 1 after that first quarter, and then Colorado had it by 6. So they were up by 6. So like, this is the thing, guys, is like, as much as Rochester came out flying, it wasn't enough this time. Colorado is, like I said, I think they're one of the top defenses in the league. I think this is still small sample size, all my numbers today. I think by the end of the season, you're going to see this. They're going to be like that top 3 defense if you're looking at that. So they're just good. And now with, like, once Q gets back in there, they are scary to play against. They really are. And if you don't think so, you're not looking at this objectively. Another thing is, we have another reason here. You got 57.1% to the faceoffs for Colorado, and 42.9 for Rochester, showing faceoffs do mean something. So maybe this week's a little bit different than my other weeks. Okay, I was wrong. I gotcha. Oh, not bad though. Not bad, honestly. So we had and Jeremy Thompson again taking faceoffs for them. I don't know what they're gonna do there. And then they had Colorado had a rookie taking faceoffs. Pretty good job, honestly. So over on the Rochester side, you had Carter Fields getting 8 points, 2 goals, 6 assists. Brian Launchberry getting 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. Carter Fields also had 15 goals, and he had 6 loose balls. It's funny because I remember at one point in the game, I was like, man, I haven't really seen Fields yet. And then all of a sudden, I just see him start going, and it's funny. You have Thomas McCombie with 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points, 11 shots on goal, and 9 loose balls. So that's huge. That's huge, guys. You got Ryan Smith, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and 12 shots on goal. Again, huge as well. Anybody really stand out? Loose balls. Jeremy Thompson has 10, but he's also a face-off guy. And Coates has 5. Not bad. Not bad. And then on the other side of things, you have Will Malcolm with 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists. And you have Jack Hanna with 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. Huge. Ryan Lee with 2 goals, 5 assists. Run you over Lee. Also, Will Malcolm with 7 loose balls. Will Malcolm does everything, man. He's like really, that kid is just all over the place. Got 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, 4 shots on goal, and 1 loose ball for him. Thomas Vela. I liked him, actually. I was really impressed with him. Brandon Saris, 2 goals in this game, showing what's up. 5 loose ball pickups. 5 shots on goal, 2 loose ball pickups. Just huge. And then really got Jordan Gillis with 6 loose ball pickups. Yeah, loose balls. He's the face-off guy, though. Robert Hope, 11 loose ball pickups and two caused turnovers. I think he might honestly be my defensive player of the week this week. I kept seeing him out there just fucking killing it. Again, you got 64 loose balls for Rochester, 68 for Colorado. We've also got 7 caused turnovers for Rochester and only 4 for Colorado. And the penalty minutes are 20 for Colorado and 10 for Rochester. And this was another one that I just found. A lot of soft calls. Couldn't believe what was going on. The one that sticks out to me on this game is where Colorado was running back on defense. To me, it looked like Rochester grabbed back of the jersey. Colorado took a tumble. The guy, Rochester's player came over and then fell into Dylan Ward. And I was like, this is fucking, guys, this is crazy. And then the kicker of that is Colorado ended up taking a penalty off that. Like, it was like, what the fuck just happened here? So anyway, I just found the reffing in the Saskatchewan Rochester game were off this week. That's just what I seen. Again, put in the comments what you guys think. But that's definitely what I seen. We've got what we got. Hartley got pulled, then came back in. I think he was just a runner at the end. Both goalies. Hartley had 59 save percentage. Hutchcraft had 66. Not good enough. This is what I was saying. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hartley had a great start to the season, but this is kind of where I was saying, again, it's not all goalie's fault. Defense too, right? But it's this back end, this team defense is just not good enough. And there's such a glass cannon, and this is the problem when you play top teams. Colorado finally figured out how to score again. So obviously, they need that dynamic duo. It can't just be all Will Malcolm out there. But even when it is somebody else, he still leads the charge. So the guy's really good. He just needs some help, essentially. Look at that. Jack Hanna got there, and they lit up and put up 18. So good for them. Dylan, 8 save percentage. These save percentages are coming back down to reality, honestly. And 13 goals against. So really, it's 56 shots. Honestly, overall, really good game. 43 saves. That's a solid performance. You don't really need any more than that. That last game of the week, we had Calgary versus San Diego. And this is actually one I called. I had a feeling that Calgary was going to win. Calgary needs a win. It was kind of just a perfect storm. The coach flipped out. The team's hungry. All that stuff. Went on the road and won in San Diego. San Diego, the crowd looked bumping, though. I think they had I'm pretty sure they had almost a full house or something. So good on San Diego to get out there and support their team. Love to see it. And this was honestly a fun game. So Calgary came out strong. 4 goals in the first, 3rd in the second, 3rd in the third, and 5 in the 4th. So very consistent, which is what we like to see. And even cranking it up at the end, and they needed to. Because you had San Diego getting 1 in the first, 3 in the second, 5 in the third, and then 2 in the 4th. And it was just honestly killer there. So what a great game. The longest drought by Calgary was 9:31. San Diego was 12 minutes on the nose. You had longest streak was 3 for Calgary. Longest streak for San Diego was 4. And the biggest lead was 5 for Calgary, and San Diego never led this game. So this is what I mean. Getting out front first really does make a difference. It really does, guys. And we had, this is where, again, San Diego, this is where it goes back to my point of faceoffs don't always mean you win. Now, I will say that I think this could have been a lot worse if the faceoffs weren't like this. You had Trevor Baptiste showing why he is an absolute animal in the faceoff dot with a 71.6 save or faceoff percentage with a 22 out of 31, huge. And then you had Osseo took quite a few of them. He took 9 for 27, 33%. And then Culpepper took 4 and got none. So they went 29% overall, which obviously isn't good enough. But Osseo has been pretty good. He might have just got a little bit schooled by Baptiste there. So at the top, you had Tanner Cook with 10 points, 3 goals, 7 assists. Brandon Maya with 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Tyler Pace, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. But those 2 goals really came when they needed them. Noah Manning, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. He's right up there for Rookie of the Week this week. I think Hayden Dixon with 4 points, Lowen with 3 points, a goal and 2 assists. We got Tanner Cook with eight loose balls as well, 6 for Brandon Maya, 14 shots on goal for Brandon Maya, and overall. And then on the other side, you had Wesley Berg with 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points. You had Trey Leclerc with 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points, and I heard he was injured, so he did end up coming in. Westberg had also had 10 loose balls. You got realistically, honestly, guys, really Corey Small had a goal and 3 assists, and then Pat Cavanaugh had a goal and 3 assists. I thought he was pretty good, honestly. Connor Robinson had a goal and an assist with 2 points overall. To be honest, not a great night. Zach Carrier, 16, holy shit, 16 loose ball pickups. How can, like, it's crazy. Yeah, other than that, then you had, like, team stat wise, you had 54 loose balls for, uh, 54 loose balls for Calgary and 82 for San Diego, and I think that's a lot more with all those faceoff wins. And then you had 12 caused turnovers by 12 caused turnovers by San Diego and only 5 by Calgary. So, like, honestly, guys, like I said, it's not all about everything, but, like, holy cow, man. The goalies, you had Aiden Walsh had a 1.4 save percentage. Huge for him. 59 shots against, 48 goals, 48 saves, 11 goals against. Huge, huge, huge. And then over on in the San Diego side, Irregulari went out. Irregulari went out early. He played about half the game, a little over that. 31 shots, 23 saves for a 74.2 save percentage. And then you had Dunkerley come in, and he got kind of lit up a little bit. 21 shots, 14 saves with a 66.7 save percentage. So, and, just overall, some absolutely fantastic games. I'll be the first one to tell you these games, like, what a weekend. And you just never know. You just never know how these weekends are going to go. And this is what I was calling this weekend. I called this the anything can happen weekend because anything can legit happen, right? So anything can still happen, right? Like, this is what I kind of felt like. I didn't go with my gut. Next week I'll be going with my gut. But overall, what a great game. What a great weekend of lacrosse. I loved how the games are spaced. To be honest with you, I wish they were spaced a little bit better, but I understand it is what it is. They're trying to fill seats, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I love it. I watched them all, and I will continue to watch them all, right? Next week's going to be a challenge. 8 games is going to be interesting to try to watch. I'm really gonna have to, like, get up Sunday morning and watch a bunch of games, but that's okay, guys. I mean, you're never gonna hear me complain about too much lacrosse. We got a banging week next week too, and we'll go into that on the next episode. But now we're gonna go right into the power rankings. Now, of course, my power rankings are gonna be different from anybody else's. I always think I'm right, but I understand, what's going on. So this is where it's interesting. It's very interesting, this week's power rankings. So here's my rankings, okay? So we've got Saskatchewan number 1. I don't care what anybody says. They're number 1. They beat top tier teams in Halifax, and Halifax hasn't lost until then. So Saskatchewan's number 1. You got Vancouver number 2, Halifax number 3, and Buffalo number 4. Now, I can understand if people mix these around. Honestly, I can see at Buffalo 2. I still say Halifax has beat Buffalo, therefore I can't put them underneath them when it's one-on-one like that. And it was hard to do in Banditland, so we'll see. But that's kind of where I have them sitting right now, and we'll see as time goes on. If Halifax pulls another loss off, I could definitely go at that point. But as of right now, because they have had 2 losses, but they've been both to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's in that first place. I have to keep it like this. So you got Buffalo at 4. Then I'm gonna put Colorado at 5. Ottawa at 6, and that's interchangeable. That I could argue could go back and forth. But I'm gonna put Colorado at 5, Ottawa at 6, because I think Colorado had a hiccup, and I think they are a more complete team than Ottawa. Ottawa is, if they can keep scoring like they do, it's hard to beat them. So we'll see what happens. So Ottawa at 6, Colorado at 5. Then I'm going to put Rochester at 7. Rochester's still an elite, Rochester's still a really good team. Like I said, I think Rochester, if we're talking just offense, I think they have the best offense in the league. Unfortunately, this is a whole team effort, and you can't just rely purely on offense. So Rochester at 7. I know some people probably still have them higher. I don't know. I can't see them. People had them up as high as 2 last week, and I was like, you're fucking nuts. Like, they are. I think somebody I even seen them had 1. Obviously, a little biased, but, like, still, that's insane to me. I get it. I get they're good. I get it. But until they beat a top level defense, I can't put them any higher, right? And if anything, they've fallen a little bit, because how do you put a Colorado, like, them above Colorado when Colorado just beat them? Again, that's my logic with power rankings. I don't know how everyone else does it, but that's kind of my logic when it comes to it for the most part, right? Overall, but then it comes down to also when they go head to head, they've already proven that. So anyway, then you've got Georgia at number 8. Georgia is one of that teams that they're on this bubble team. They might make the playoffs, they might not, but they are the best defense in the league right now. And because of that, they have to be on the power ranking list, in my opinion. They're playing fantastic. They played a fantastic game last week. We'll see what they can do next week. And I'm excited to see what happens in Georgia because at the end of the day, I love of an underdog team. And that's to me kind of what I think they are, right? So that's just my opinion on them. So there's my power rankings, the Anything Lacrosse power rankings. And you know, I'm sure there's going to be some debate there, but again, I would think mine are right. So that's my logic behind it, and there you have it. You guys let me know what you guys let me know what yours are in the comments if you can, because I always like to hear other people's opinions. So next we'll be doing weekly awards like I always do at this time of week. I think that it's kind of important to go into. So for this one's interesting. So honestly, all right. So my player awards, we're gonna start with the offensive player of the week. And I have to go. I know this is going to be a weird one. And as much as it's easy to say Jeff T, I'm going to actually go with Alex Simmons. As much as they lost the game and everything, Alex Simmons had 11 points, put up 19 shots on goal. Well, so he is really dragging that Oshawa team. He's really driving them, especially when no one else was putting anything up. He was doing it. But this week, in my opinion, Alex Simmons is going to be my player of the week, my offensive player of the week. There's definitely some other players that could be, like I said, that could easily be, you could throw in here. There's been some big performances this week. So Alex Simmons is my goalie of the week, or is my offensive player of the week. My goalie of the week is going to be Aiden Walsh. 81 save percentage, 48 saves, massive first half. The third quarter wasn't the greatest, don't get me wrong, but overall, really, if it wasn't for him, his team would still have 0 wins. So he played amazing. He even played good last week, I thought, honestly, and he's just showing that, he's a younger goalie that's showing he deserves to be a starter, and I think he absolutely does, right? So great way. He's played great the last couple of weeks, and I hope he can keep it up. I love Calgary. They're a very workhorse team. They're the youngest team in the league, and I love a good underdog story. So even though I think we're going to finish last place, I still think that if they can prove me wrong, go prove me wrong. I love to be proved wrong. So next, we got defensive player of the week. This is where it gets hard, man, because it's almost like how do you not give it to Zach Currier after having 16 loose ball pickups? But he didn't his team didn't win the game and they let up 18. So it's I don't know, man. That's a huge stat for me. And I know I shouldn't go off that, but he's not a face-off guy or anything. And I think he's just so good. But my defense player of the week is probably going to go to Robert Hope. I'm going to give it to him this week. Robert Hope, just even by the eye, like I said, once I had that insider reach out to me and kind of be like, hey, man, you can't just go by stats, or he didn't say that, and I'm very paraphrasing. Oh, man, you shouldn't go just by stats for this, this, and this. And I respect that. And I really appreciate him even taking the time to come out and say that to me, because a lot of guys would just let me sound like a fucking idiot for the next, year. But Robert Hope, to me, he had 11 loose ball pickups, so very solid still, 2 caused turnovers. And he just, I don't know, by the eye test, to me, very, very strong presence out there for Colorado. So that's why for me, it's going to be him as my defense player of the week. And this week, for my rookie of the week, we're going to give it to Brandon Sayers for getting 2 goals this game. Huge, massive for him. And he was just, he's a fantastic pickup. I thought he could be a top 3 guy, even maybe top 4. He slipped, and I think they got a killer player, and you're seeing it already. So there you have it, guys. There's the podcast. I know this has been pretty long. I had a lot to talk about, as always. Again, Mike, still haven't got that cord in the mail. I'm still waiting for it. So I apologize if the sound quality wasn't overly fantastic. But when I listened to it last time, I was like, actually, it sounds a lot better than I even remember. So I'm content with it personally. With that being said, boys, thank you for coming to week 20 or episode 25. Again, I'm always shocked by that we're here. 25 weeks. I got a couple guests already lined up for later this week. So we'll be getting back into interviews again. It's just over the Christmas break. It was hard to get people, locked down and all that stuff. So I just kind of took some time for myself over this last little bit to try to recharge. And I'm just going to keep pumping content. So I'm, well on my way. We've got big plans for the year. I put out my list, my New Year's resolution list as well. I'm big on kind of getting off starting off with the year right. I know some people think it's stupid. To me, it gives me an excuse to reset. So that's how I look at it. I'm always trying to better myself, but I'm just trying to read more and all that kind of stuff. So it's off to a good start. And like I said, let me know what you guys think about me switching my format from doing all box content to doing box one podcast, field another. That's kind of a big decision that I'm kind of swinging on. I am leaning towards doing field content because I think again, it could bring some fans into box, and I think it's good. PLL NLL idea, I think is an amazing idea for an all-star game. I think that'd be really cool. And yeah, other than that, guys, that's episode 25. As always, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. If you're still here, this has been quite a long episode, but I like to go deep into these things. I like to go deep into these different topics. Yeah, these are just my thoughts and opinions. With that all being said, get back to work. If you haven't, I'm headed back tomorrow. Unfortunately, still can't do this full time. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, one day I do get to do content full time. That's what I'm hoping for. And by the end of the year is kind of what I'm just hoping for. So, with all that being said, but if you're still here, I love you guys even more. Comment something that you're still here, just because I think it's hard for me to believe that anybody really gets here other than, you know, maybe a couple people or something. So if you're listening to the whole podcast, put something in the comments because you'll definitely one of my top followers, fans, whatever you want to call yourself. But join the Discord, all that kind of stuff. So with that all being said, thanks for coming. My name is Jake McDonald. I'm Anything Lacrosse, and this is Again and Never Sit Still. And we will talk to you guys later. Have a good week.